Hello. I'm muted. I've been so good about that. All right, here we go again. So, a couple of quick things. We got some channel updates. To save time, I've made a couple of changes. After this video, we're going to be creating chapters. They'll be live within hopefully 3 to 5 minutes after the video completing. So anybody who comes in late after a video has already been live, you'll be able to actually like look at the different parts and see, hey, maybe I just want to watch this piece in the sake of, short amounts of time. Thank you guys for letting me know I was muted too. I appreciate you. I'm going to make highlight reels too and shorter topic-based videos that'll probably be great for like a YouTube short or something like that, just to increase the audience size. And again, just more topic-based too, to where if you guys are interested in one thing and you don't have a lot of time, you can look at that. And then we've got other changes in the weekend recap. We'll be going over those. Trump working at McD's today. I don't know what that means. I might have missed a recent update, Andy. Let's see though. In this video though, let's get focused here. We're going to be talking about betting markets. We're going to be talking about polling markets, or polling. I'm sorry, and then we're going to be looking at data for both. Talking about current issues with election integrity because there are some. We'll discuss the last few weeks of actions, both from the left and right, and how they're playing out, and then I'll kind of wrap up and summarize. The first thing I wanted to go over. This is very interesting. I'm going to hit the play button. We'll let our bot talk here, and just look at this chart. Look at this number.
Breaking. For the first time since Kamala Harris entered the race, every battleground state is shaded red in Polymarket. That's 312 electoral votes for Donald J. Trump.
So that's not super great, right? Like, that's not wonderful. You don't want that. Also, that's just the betting market. So you could be like, hey, it's not the polls, though. We know polls are historically lean more to the left, but let's listen to the latest updates there, too.
Breaking. Atlas Intel, which was the most accurate national poll in 2020, has Donald Trump leading Kamala Harris by 3 points. Trump 51%, 3 Harris 48%. Their swing state polling is where things get interesting. Pennsylvania, Trump 3.3 miles, Trump 2.8 GA, Trump 1.4 Arizona, Trump 0.6 Nevada, Trump 0.3 North Carolina, Harris 0.7 Wisconsin, Harris 0.7. Electoral vote according to the poll. Trump 286, Harris 252. The poll was conducted with 4,180 likely voters.
So that's just latest from Atlas. And again, this is the most reputable pollster out there. They were the most right about the 2020 election out of anybody. And these numbers, we'll look at them in closer detail in a little bit. But again, they're all good. Every one of them are good. Let's keep going here. Let me look at comments. What do we got? Ooh, I got past the muted thing. Andy said, no, legit. He's actually working at McDonald's right now, working the fries. Really? A man of the people. Awesome. Dario Ferraro, can you talk about MU? Nope, not right now. No, this is election stuff. No stocks. Trump has officially worked at McDonald's longer than Kamala Harris, which is not hard to beat her record because she's never worked there, even though she said she did, right? All right, so there's a few things I want to go over. I want to save this one for later, actually. We're going to put that one at the end. It's Bill Maher talking about Trump. But I don't want to go to that just yet. What I want to do, let me see here. I'm going to go down a little bit lower. Some of these other posts. We have a few other things to talk about. So one, Elon Musk just did this yesterday. It says Michigan has more registered voters than eligible citizens. Is that true, Community Notes? So Community Notes did look at this. And if we scroll down here, well, let's see. Where is it? Did it get taken down? I don't know. Michigan has 8 million. I mean, the note didn't really differ much from this, just that they were working on cleaning up the voter rolls by 2027, which isn't very helpful with this election coming up right now. But it says Michigan has 8 million eligible voters and 8.1 million registered voters. So one would ask, first off, very high registration rate. Secondly, this is after the state removed over 300,000 or 330,000 deceased and non-citizen voters from its rolls. And I can't explain why it still has 100,000 more registered voters than voters after the purge. So pretty amazing that they got 101% turnout, or 102. I don't know, something like that. But kind of strange. Probably not a good thing. And again, when we look at the actual data and dive in to some of this polling related information, it gets really insightful. Like this was recently for Michigan. I just posted this yesterday, I believe. And it says or I guess a few days ago, October 16th of 2020, Biden was 7.2 at that time. He was up by 7.2. And right down here, it's got Trump up by 1 at now. So there's an 8.2 disparity. I think that's dropped since to 7.9, but that's a pretty huge drop for one state from the previous election. And I think and this is with, again, these polls are very fraught with error, especially leaning towards the left. So it's just fascinating to see how well the data is playing out. What does it say? Democrats are telling us to respect the upcoming election while they actively undermined its integrity. Voting real Donald Trump if you want to keep America the land of the free. And let's just listen to this real quick here.
An investigation by Fox 2 finds non-U.S. citizen migrant workers are being encouraged to vote in November's presidential election. Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes found this out after an employer of migrant workers alerted him.
These union mailers were just sent to non-U.S. citizen migrant workers. They say, quote, stop the steal by stopping Trump's allies, vote for Harris Walz and pro-worker candidates. Here's 11 of the mailers addressed to non-U.S. citizens mailed to their workplace, which alerted Fox 2. The business, which specializes in landscaping, does not want to be identified. The company's manager told us their migrant worker employees, who are from Mexico, are all background checked and have legal H-2B visas, which allow their temporary stay here. The manager explained the migrant workers are also allowed to have union representation and that they pay dues to their union, called LIUNA. But the manager cannot understand why the union would send mailers to non-U.S. citizens, encouraging their vote in the presidential election. We've tried repeatedly to get an explanation from Washington, D.C.-based union LIUNA.
I mean, why would they do that? So crazy.
3 emails to their communications department and 3 phone calls. A 4th call also went to voicemail. We checked with Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, a Republican who's in charge of Missouri elections.
Well, I think it shows why we need a law in Missouri that requires individuals to show proof of citizenship.
Why don't we have that everywhere? If Democrats don't want us to be worried about election integrity and they don't want us to dispute the upcoming election, why don't we just have that? Why don't we require IDs everywhere? Why is Kamala fighting against that point? Why aren't we doing everybody takes the day off? That way we ensure, equal opportunity from both hourly and non-hourly citizens to be able to have an opportunity to get their voice heard. Like, there's a lot of things we could do to just make sure that they're good and they're safe. But I guess when you have more registered voters than the people that are able to register to vote, and you've got all this corruption where you're trying to steal elections, it probably makes that very difficult. That's my thesis. But again, this is just kind of a joke. It says breaking. West Virginia just passed a resolution that will not recognize the winner of the presidential election if the West Virginia Attorney General determines that fraud occurred in another state. So they're basically laying down a gauntlet and saying West Virginia will not say this is our president and allow the process to continue. So this is a nice little nuance. So we got people fighting on all sides, right? And somebody said, I think that Poly Market was what? That it was even better, and that Trump was winning in all of the states. Let me see if I can find that real quick here. I'll just take this out. Nope, that's not it. Let me see. How do I get that? No. There we go. All right, what was I doing? I lost my train of thought. All right, let's move over here. Oh, yeah, Poly Market. Let me pull it up. Poly Market Trump. All right, let's take a look here. See if we see any. What is this? It's a swing state blowout. After taking the lead 5 days ago, Trump is officially winning in all of them. Cool. All right, I'll retweet that. That's awesome. So even better. We like that. Now, let's go back and listen to a few things. And this is what I want you to think about with the polling, too. I mean, the betting markets are something different, right? Like, there's money associated with it. They could be corrupted, though, as well, on either side. But let's just listen to J.D. Vance from the 18th of September here talk about the current polls that are out there. This is a very accurate statement, I think.
The same people who put those public opinion polls together are the same people who say, for example, that Donald Trump was going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. Remember that? 3 days before the 2020 election, Donald Trump was supposed to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. And set to the side all of the debates about what happened in 2020, Wisconsin was basically a tied election. So these guys use public polls, they use the media, not even just to manipulate public opinion, but to manipulate our leadership about what public opinion actually says.
So how does that happen? So those polls are fake, is what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely, they're fake. They're absolutely fake. And we see this, I mean, again, this is like very nerdy, but let's like go down this polling rabbit hole, okay? So a friend of mine, I think, is the best pollster in America. Every race I've ever seen him poll, he's way better than anybody else, okay? So good pollster versus a standard media pollster. Tony Fabrizio, great guy. He's the president's pollster, okay? Take a standard media poll and ask yourself, like, what are they doing? Those polls are all conducted by what's called online panels. In other words, they have a group of people that they go to again and again and again. They ask their opinion. Well, who are the people who are going to respond aggressively to online panels about what they feel about every issue of the day? A bunch of highly engaged, typically far left, typically people with professional degrees, people who are not representative of the American people at large, right? Meanwhile, most Americans are trying to pay their mortgage and trying to take care of their kids and trying to do all the things that are necessary to live a life in this country, and they're not answering the phone when a pollster picks up. So if you actually look at the good pollsters, they're telling you a radically different story because they're talking to a representative sample of the United States, and the fake media pollsters are talking to a very narrow slice of the United States. And again, they're trying to sell us a story. And it's not just, this is not primarily to manipulate the American people. I think it is to manipulate us, meaning elected officials. Because I've sat in lunches with a number of my colleagues who will say, look at this poll and look how Americans are responding to this or that issue. And then you realize that that exact same poll was wildly inaccurate 2 years ago. Why are you making your judgments about what the American people believe based on some poll? And oh, by the way, why don't you express some leadership? Why don't you just actually have a view and go to the American people and try to persuade them that your view is wise and then enact legislation in accordance with that wisdom, right? Like that's how real leadership should work.
So deceptive, and I think what people don't realize is that a lot of these polls are designed not to measure opinion, but to shape it.
Yes.
So they are tools of influence.
100%. President Trump said this recently in an interview, where he said that the purpose of some of these polls that say, okay, you're down 17 points in Wisconsin. So say you're a Republican voter, you want to support Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And of course, the polls now are much better for us than they were back in 2020. But let's say you want to support President Trump and you read a story that says he's down by 17 points in Wisconsin. Why even show up? Right? So there's a voter suppression dynamic here where you try to get people to get depressed and to drop out of the Democratic
Yes, this is exactly what they're trying to do. This is exactly right.
process. Don't even go and vote if the president is down by so much. The purpose of these polls is actually manipulation of both the public themselves, but also, of course, elected officials. And I think that we have to have the courage to trust our own convictions, to say, screw you, I don't buy the polls, and to do what you think is right on behalf of the country.
Yes, and reference historical data to let you know how accurate they are. We have to do that, okay? Also, I just wanted to speak to the New York Times and the Washington Post from the years of 2010 to 2019. Does it seem like maybe our media is focusing on stuff that they didn't before? Look at racism. Look at racists, xenophobia, white supremacy, sexism, sexist, misogyny, patriarchy, gender discrimination, homophobia, homophobic, anti-gay actually dropped, transphobia, transphobic, Islamophobia, Islamophobic, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic, and bigotry. Look at how much this media pushes this narrative to us, how much we hate each other. And yet when I go out into the streets and I meet people, it seems like most people get along just fine. If anything, it seems like the animosity that's been created is coming from all of this garbage. So I want us to remember the fact that they're trying to manipulate our minds with these polls. And then at the same time, again, just think about what they're doing with media. 90% of media is like this garbage all the time, all day. So it's very hard to break through that. But you know what? We're breaking through. Why do I say that? Why do I say we're breaking through? Because listen to Bill Maher. And don't get me wrong, there's some other stupid comments from Cuban and that one guy. I can't even remember what station he's from. I haven't watched it in so many years. But Bill Maher is getting it. He's understanding. It's breaking through. He's realizing where the real evil is, and he's talking about it on a show that's nationally televised. Listen to it.
Commissioner Carol Hart saying, "We're dealing with a company, the head of which has aggressively injected himself into the presidential race and made it clear what his point of view is." Yes, because he lives in America, and he can do that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with this. And, you know, the right thinks that the left is in a very different place with free speech than they have been before, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
I agree.
This is arrogant. You don't punish somebody. It would be like if we stopped Henry Ford from making the cars because we didn't like what
but can you take one anecdotal example? One idiot, right? Truly an idiot to stop.
This is not an idiot. This is someone with power.
An idiot with power is not unusual.
Okay, but that's
Right.
Haha, he made a joke. So good for you, Mark Cuban. Or Rachel Maddow. I can't tell the difference.
Oh, but
A lot of people seem to have that problem.
having power matters.
Yeah. You can see Bill's pissed because he has a real argument here and he doesn't like the one-liners being used for it. So let's just listen to this.
Let's talk about why we've talked about entrepreneurs and what makes America great. You know what makes our economy?
This guy's a complete dipshit.
What sustains our economy? The rule of law. And that's what I believe is at stake at this election. We want a fair and equitable.
The Democrats have literally been using lawfare the entire time, and Bill Maher's entire point is them doing that right now, using governmental control to try and interfere with what a free citizen can say about how they feel about an election. It's a big deal, and he's just going to try and play it off.
Approach to the rule of law. The great thing about America is an idiot makes a decision like that based on politics instead of based on what their job is.
So yeah, they're like, oh, dude, that doesn't represent us. We're not about censorship, even though we want to take away, get rid of the First Amendment. Literally the First Amendment in our Constitution. We're like, hey, you know what? Do we really need that? Do we need freedom of speech, or do we need to control speech? They literally have talked about this. Multiple people, John Kerry, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton. There's a bunch of them that have made these comments, right? And so Chuck Schumer, another one. So if they're making these comments, it's like, really? We're not supposed to worry about the fact that they've talked about taking away free speech, and we're seeing judicial lawfare against the previous president and the richest, like, most powerful person in this country who's done arguably the most for it in its existence. and he's doing that for the world, too. And it's like, and we shouldn't be worried about this.
You can take it to the courts.
Yeah,
the courts
exactly.
will
Courts will
overturn
figure it out.
And
We're trying to control the courts and what everybody can say and see and do. But the courts, they can fix it.
guarantee you they're gonna have that decision overturned.
Hey, Roberto.
And they're gonna have find another reason, a better reason, a more relevant reason to deny.
He'll learn
what
a
he's
harder lesson.
requesting.
He'll just move more of his production and more of his launches somewhere else.
I mean, that's true. That will be what happens. That's what's been happening to California. They're pretty fucked.
To Florida or to Texas,
yeah, exactly.
wherever. I mean, they'll learn the hard way.
But it's just the attitude that I find scary. That they're far too willing to stifle freedoms, including speech, for the sake of safety.
Now, in a second here, you'll make note of the fact that these guys don't actually argue that point that they're trying to censor. Everybody knows they're censoring. The whole point right now is just justifying it.
Safety or misinformation, sometimes, which is coming from everybody. It's, you know, one has a monopoly on it. Or just power.
You're saying nobody
it's just
has a
power.
monopoly on it. Come on. That's some moral relativism right there.
I said nobody has a monopoly.
You said nobody has a monopoly on it, but that's like saying nobody has a monopoly on being a billionaire.
No, he doesn't. He's not. He doesn't have a monopoly on being a billionaire. There's a ton of them.
He's got
It's not even a good argument.
that monopoly up here. I mean, he's got more money than us, a lot more money than
What the fuck does this have to do with anything?
us. So,
I don't get the.
you don't get it?
I don't know what point you're making.
Look, you're saying it's both sides.
Well,
there is no doubt.
There's no misinformation.
There's some disinformation from the left, but comparing it to what Donald Trump
No, of course,
spews
I
out
agree.
every day,
I
every
agree.
week, comparing it.
I mean, Donald Trump does sometimes get some things wrong as far as factual information. So that's probably true.
To what Elon Musk is spewing out, unfortunately,
Nah, that's bullshit.
on X.
Elon will make a mistake every once in a while, but he's like 99% accurate, man.
You sound like Brett Stevens
I
right now,
don't.
with all due respect. It's a joke. That's a real time.
And you
Bill
sound
Maher
like
joke.
him, who looks like Rachel Maddow. Or is
But you understand what I'm saying.
I've never argued with that. I've never argued of a false equivalency. I just said there is misinformation from both sides.
Well, sir,
I lived through COVID. Don't tell me there wasn't
always has been.
misinformation.
I love that. I love that he calls this out.
But there's a difference between.
I lived through stupid policies based on bad information and stifled information.
intent matters.
That's what Zuckerberg said. He said they were forcing us not to
But
put out.
intent matters, right? Even back then, they were trying to save lives, even if they did it the wrong way. But here with this lady.
So it's okay to suppress free speech and harm people in the process, maybe kill people in the process if it's done out of the kindness of the government's heart.
Okay.
There's no good intent. She's just trying to prove her point. If you get it wrong and trying to do the right thing,
Okay.
If you get it wrong trying to do the right thing, that's
Commissioner
okay.
Carol Hart saying.
Anyway, I don't know. There's just so much stupid stuff on that side of the fence, man. But I love that this guy is starting to get it. I love that Bill Maher actually started to get concerned about freedom of speech in America. Let me see here. Robertus just understood there's the wealthiest lesbian city right next to him. Yep, exactly. X, Seymour Sats, you not watching Elon at Pittsburgh Town Hall? Is he doing it right now? I might have to go to it. Let me hop over to it. Elon. I keep forgetting, like, every day Elon Musk is doing one of these. Let's take a look. Yeah, we'll totally listen to this.
And we're going to uphold the Constitution. We're going to strengthen freedom of speech.
All right, this is going to hijack the show. We'll get back to the other stuff.
Right to bear arms and the freedoms that people treasure, and reduce the burden that the federal government places upon the states and the people within the states. Go. So, yeah, the Department of Government Efficiency is going to be great.
I love that he's doing this every day. If you guys didn't know this, he's actually giving away $1 million a day towards new registrants that also like do the poll thing that they're trying to do, where they're basically trying to ensure freedom of, weapons and speech and all this other stuff. So they have to pledge to that too, but or fill it out. But if they do that, they can win $1 million. It's like a lottery. And then also for each person you get registered to vote, you get $43. So this is a really efficient, smart way to try and get people to vote. It's kind of brilliant, and we'll see how it plays out, man.
What that's going to do is really just take a look at all the federal expenditures and say if something is not, if you're not getting great value for money for your hard-earned tax dollars, cancel it. So. And I think we also want to have extreme transparency.
Oh, I just got to interrupt. It's so awesome to me that Robert F. Kennedy, that Tulsi Gabbard, that Vivek, that Elon Musk, that all these just amazing people are are all behind Trump right now. And then again, all this money that Elon Musk it has put into the PACs and is putting in to try and get the vote out in Pennsylvania, really just doing amazing stuff, man. And then we have this platform to speak on too. It's just awesome.
So like no shady backroom deals or whatever, everything done in open, total exposure. Like you can see the mistakes that are made, the good things that are done. You can comment on it. You can, raise concerns. We want a transparent, open government, and.
Oh, it's a little buffery. I can't pause.
Those are all the things that I think we get with Trump. On the other hand, with the sort of the dem machine, there's like almost no point in attacking Kamala personally because she's just a puppet of the machine. But if the dem machine takes over and has another 4 years, we'll obviously see wide open borders. We'll see our cities get less safe. We'll see.
He's getting a lot more refined in his speeches, very, very quickly, iterating and iterating. This is what this guy does.
Extreme spending and inflation. We'll see the freedom of speech get taken away or severely undermined. We'll see the Second Amendment, right to bear arms, severely undermined. They've said they're going to do this. This is not like a secret agenda. This is what they say in public. So, just believe them when they say it. And I think, yeah. So, and I think there's another significant danger, which I think which you consider is that there's a massive increase in the number of illegals that are being put in swing states. If you look at the actual numbers, look at the government data. So this is government data reported from a Democratic administration, and you see triple-digit increases over the past 3 years in the number of illegals in swing states. Now, the goal will then be to, over the next 4 years, to legalize all of those illegals. And when you have elections that are sometimes decided by 10 or 20,000 votes, and then you sort of
scary.
Put 200,000 illegals and legalize them in that same swing state, now you've got a 200,000 vote advantage. And every swing state will be blue, and America will be a one-party state forever, just like California. And that would be a nightmare. Democracy, gone. That's what I think will happen with the Kamala presidency. Mark my words.
He doesn't miss. He's not mincing words anymore, guys. You met Kevin too. For all his faults, he's very. Oh, I'm sure I think he's a super nice guy. He should spend more time with his family. He's just all over the place. He just needs to. If he was a little less salesman and probably just a little bit more of probably who he naturally is, I think Meet Kevin would do a lot better.
And this is why people wonder why am I politically active? Because I'm a technologist. I build rockets and cars and stuff. So what am I doing in politics? It's not. I don't want to be in politics. I want to be clear.
Hate the skips. You can't really. There's so many issues with video
politics.
on X.
but the stakes are so high here that I have had no choice but to take a stand. Awesome. So it's not something I want to do. And
I love Elon Musk, man. He's such a real person.
Yeah. 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 Thank you.
These people love him,
sweet.
man. They love him.
Yeah. Anyway, so dramatically increasing my risk of being assassinated, and engaging in politics are not what I want to do. I do not have a death wish, but the stakes are so high that I feel I have no choice but to do it, and that's the reason.
Yep.
So.
I hate politics too, but here we are.
And thank you all for your strong support. and everything you're doing to ensure that we have a democracy and that the right side wins. Thank you guys for everything you're doing. And thank you out there.
I love this guy. Is this town hall like? Is he going to take questions, I'm assuming?
So,
he's been doing that.
Yeah, I mean, to everyone out there, you know, because I think there's millions of people that will watch this this town hall and this, you know, this talk and the questions that will Q&A that we'll do. Please, if you're in Pennsylvania, sorry for it to be repetitive, but you've got less than 36 hours to register. Please make sure you register. Make sure everyone you know is registered to vote. And please make sure everyone you know has voted. That if they've received an absentee ballot, that they actually vote. And I really actually advise people to vote early.
Yes.
So vote immediately. And
that way your ballots aren't counted later. Vote kind of early. Everyone.
Everyone. Because it says absentee ballot, but you can actually take your absentee ballot and hand it in person. So then you're like, okay, then you know it got there. You're literally handing it to the person. You can, you know, I guess probably take a picture of it or something. But that's incredibly important. And you know, I think like a lot of the challenge we face is I guess one of perhaps maybe not among obviously this audience, but
what part of PA are you from, J Mill?
We have an issue of apathy where they think their vote doesn't count or they don't think it's serious enough, and so I know for whatever reason they have not registered to vote and they have not voted. So it's just really important to go out there and explain.
Why is it better to go early? You want to go early because when they do the vote counting at the end, there's a greater risk of, again, them trying to hide and get rid of votes at the last minute. So I think the earlier you do it, the better. You don't want to be at the end of the line when they're trying to figure out what votes are coming in and potentially how much somebody would need to cheat. You want to have all the votes counted to begin with. So I think that's why he's saying that same thing.
Explain the importance.
And again, instead of having to worry about transportation as an issue, bring it in yourself, right? That way you don't have to worry about it getting hung up in the post office. And again, at the very end, what we don't want to have is a bunch of postal vans full of mail-in ballots that haven't gotten there yet. Right? We want to force them to be in the place where they're supposed to be counted, and that way they have them. We don't want them to be in mid-transport. So just make sure, do everything as early as you can.
Of this election and how democracy is on the line.
Yes.
And this, I think, this might be the very last election that's a real election. And
I agree.
It's the most important election in your lifetime. And if there's any election.
My question is for both you and for Dave McCormick, your guest here tonight.
X does not do a good job with video buffering right now.
And you're both self-made men, truly the embodiment of the American dream. I want to know what Dave can do and what you can do.
I'm just not going to stop anymore from here because X doesn't buffer well. They've got to fix that.
Well, I think the things that we've talked about will have a big effect. You know, the sheer amount of what I call the strangulation of America by overregulation that is inhibiting progress, like preventing new houses from being built, preventing bridges from being built, preventing even trivial things like the Boring Company, for example, is just trying to dig a simple tunnel under a river, has been waiting 2 years for a permit, can't get it done, so they're just sitting somewhere.
That's insane.
I think when Reagan did deregulation in the 80s, there was unleashed a wave of prosperity. I think that's a super big deal. The other thing that's very important that I haven't touched upon is that we need to make sure that America that you get ahead purely as a function of of your talent and hard work.
Yes.
Nothing else.
Yes. Should be merit-based.
So,
not who you know, nothing else.
You know, there's like racism, sexism in any form
Yes.
is bad. Doesn't matter who it's directed towards. And we want to have the land of opportunity. It means that you're as good as how hard you work and how talented you are and what contribution you make. And that should be that should only be the only thing that matters about getting ahead.
That sounds like utopia to me.
I just want to know if you are considering running in 2028.
Well, there'd have to be a
Can't.
constitutional amendment for that. My grandfather was American, actually, but I was born, oddly enough, in Africa, which is a strange spawn point, but
Strange spawn point.
So I cannot be president. But it's not. I actually don't want to be president. so to be clear, I want to build rockets and cars.
Yes.
And
Damn
you know, so
love this man.
I'm super literal. And in fact, you can look at, you know, talks that I gave like 20 years ago, and I say the same thing. You know, so it's not like I'm, you know, I'm just, you know, I believe we want to be a spacefaring civilization and out there among the stars, and we need to, you know, have great rocket technology for that. You know, I believe in electric cars and automation and you know, self-driving and robotics and the space-based internet. So I just love creating technologies that people find useful, and that's what I want to do with my time. So I'm hoping that you know, we get President Trump elected, and then I'll work hard on the Department of Government Efficiency, and then you know, you know, after that I hope I can not be in politics. That would be my hope.
Yeah, can we help this man not be in politics?
So you know, like I said, you know, I'm doing this because I think it's critical to the future of the country, and if America falls, nothing else matters. You know, we're not getting to Mars or anything. So
he's right.
You know, and I've talked to a lot of people, like leaders in business and technology, because I was like, guys, you should really, you know, you need to go out there and fight hard, because you know, if America falls, your company's going to fall with it. So why not? You know, I wish more leaders in business and technology would put themselves out there. Like they usually agree with me and they support Trump, but they're afraid of saying so. And I'm like, man, the stakes are super high. You know, fortunately, more and more people are sort of, you know, coming out of the closet, you know, type of thing. Like, so like.
I don't know what the yellow thing is.
You know, it's like. Maybe it's probably the most rebellious
Local
thing
colors,
to do
maybe
in
of a
San
team.
Francisco.
I don't know.
But it's like, you know, by a long shot. So, you know, that's anyway. I'm not a natural politician, nor do I wish to be. I just want to make you know, cool technology that you'll love to use. So, all right.
Yeah.
Sam, just to. Eli, just to respond to Sam's question,
the crowd has a bunch of them.
What the Democratic Party is running on now is not only anti-business, it's anti-success. And anti-business is these huge regulations that are stifling businesses, whether it's dairy farms or SpaceX, and everything. I mean, fracking. I mean, you don't have to ban fracking to ban fracking. You just have red tape and bureaucracy and all sorts of stipulations that make it impossible to succeed. And on the personal success side, we need to give every single kid the opportunity with great schools to be everything they can be. Our school system needs to be totally renovated to give everybody an opportunity. Not everybody needs to go to college. They just have to have the skills to have a great career in the American dream.
Well said.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Well, let's see. Next question.
Hi, Elon. Like Donald Trump and like yourself, I think, I am the survivor of an assassination attempt.
Well, nobody's gotten close enough to shoot a bullet yet.
Okay. Well, like Donald Trump then.
There's a couple people that have tried to get close, but they were arrested before they got close.
Probably Victor.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. But in my case, my parents hired a hitman, otherwise known as an abortionist doctor,
Okay.
to try to kill me when I was in the womb.
Wow.
But he was terrible at his job.
This is a weird
and
story.
I survived, and I'm here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Ooh, that's fucked up. So they almost aborted her, or tried to, and she was born.
Thank you.
She's pretty lucky.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. But so needless to say, I'm very pro-life.
Yes.
But even without that, I would be pro-life, not even based on religious reasons, but just the moral and rational, logical reasons. And I know that you're a rational person, and you are pro-humanity.
Yes.
And
I love humanity. I do.
I'm just wondering if you would ever consider publicly supporting the pro-life movement.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
I mean, so obviously this is a contentious topic, if there ever was one. It is perhaps the most contentious topic.
Figure out where to put this thing.
And to be clear out there, President Trump has been clear that he will veto a national abortion ban. He has said that because the Democrats have said that he will apply a national abortion ban, and that is causing a lot of sort of independent voters to actually not vote for Trump because they think that he will implement a national abortion ban. He has been very clear that he thinks it's a states' rights issue, and he will veto a national abortion ban.
That's smart. It's the right play.
Now,
at the state level.
There is no answer to this question that will not offend some number of people. But nonetheless, I will tell you what my opinion is.
Great.
Which will certainly offend some number of people. My opinion is that if a baby can survive outside the womb, it cannot be aborted.
I think that's right.
So if a baby can survive outside the womb, if it is far enough in gestation to survive outside the womb, at that point it is not abortion, it is murder.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. I think that's a good point.
Now, part of the challenge here is that the education system has terrified girls and women and relentlessly pushed the idea that getting pregnant can be is the end of your life. Like your career is dead. You'll be ostracized from society, and so when you instill terror in young girls that getting pregnant is the worst thing that could happen, they obviously, they believe that if they're just kids, and so that when that is a deep-seated belief that they've been hit with in the educational system for a long time, then the idea that they will not be able to get an abortion even in extreme circumstances is obviously a terrifying situation.
Yeah.
And they will not vote for any
They're trying to
candidate
scare people
who might, essentially, who would stop them from getting an abortion even in extreme circumstances. So this is the issue that we face. It's this relentless
series of lies.
Push in education, terrifying girls and women that if they get pregnant, their life's over. And the reality is there's nothing greater than having a kid.
I agree.
And
I agree.
So, I get more joy in my life for my kids than anything else, and that's generally true of all humans. In fact, if that is how we evolved. It is a very natural thing that you will love your children. So in fact, having a child will make you happier than anything else in your life ever. So,
that's cool.
So you get a chance to ask one of the most intelligent men in the world a question. What do you ask? So, what are your thoughts on clean energy as far as nuclear energy, nuclear power?
Sure.
Seems to be the cleanest, or one of the cleanest that we have.
Yeah.
And there's talk about developing miniature reactors. Do you think that's where we should focus our tax dollars on for the future?
Well, I am very much pro-nuclear. If you actually look at the data, and especially if you look at, say, modern nuclear reactors, the modern designs are so safe that if you tried to get a meltdown, you couldn't do it. Like if you went there with flamethrowers and explosives, and your goal was to get this thing to melt down, it still won't melt down. That's how good modern nuclear reactors are. So they're not dangerous. And they're a great source of energy, and I think we should do a lot more nuclear power. I think it's a smart move. You know, when in Japan, when they had the tsunami and they had the Fukushima reactor was taken out, I had people in California asking me if they should be worried about the radiation coming from Japan. I'm like, definitely not. That's insane. And so, actually, to support the people of Japan, because people were scared to even travel to Japan, didn't just go to Japan. I went to Fukushima itself and ate locally grown vegetables on TV. And amazing, I'm still alive.
I've heard this one a bunch of times, but yeah, nuclear power can be pretty safe. The problem is small nuclear reactors. Chamath was talking about that on the All In podcast. They're just not really real yet. Like they're not really real as far as like their economic, purpose and whether or not they'll be profitable and any of this stuff. They're theoretical.
You'll tell me when?
Not yet. So, anyway, I just said we should be less scared of nuclear stuff, and it doesn't take long to just. I mean, if you just read like even Wikipedia level stuff, it's going to make it clear that it's not as scary. It's not a scary thing. Now, if to sort of maybe sort of wax scientific philosophically, scientifically, the real massive energy source in our solar system overwhelmingly is the sun.
Yeah,
so the
it's
sun
the biggest nuclear reactor we need.
Roughly 4.5 million tons of mass to energy every second.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's very reliable.
It's like
and
a whole bunch of
no
nuclear
maintenance
reactors.
and no servicing. It's pretty great. No service for like all that energy. So long term, by far, the most amount of energy we'll get is from the sun. The solar energy exceeds all other energy by a factor of 1 trillion, like literally.
This is the most important form of energy we can use.
Yeah.
For most parts of the world. It's solar. It's not nuclear. Everybody's about nuclear right now. It's still solar. It's solar and batteries. That's how you make the grid the most resilient too. Think about it. If everybody had solar and there were batteries everywhere, if there were a bomb dropped or some kind of attack wherever you live, you wouldn't have an issue where they hit all the power plants and knock them out because there would still be power everywhere that you couldn't disrupt. It makes it a lot more resilient. It's a good thing. Off the biggest battery in our solar system.
Yeah, solar flares can take out the grid because the grid's like a giant like a radio antenna.
Yep.
So solar flares can take out the grid. Yeah. I don't know if we have a plan. I suspect we do not have a plan. So
we should fix that.
So yeah, I mean, I think that I think like most likely, I think it's 80% likely that AI makes the future great, and 20% that it makes the future really bad. So we want to maximize the probability of it being good. And I think we should be on the lookout for any manipulation domestically or internationally through the use of AI.
Totally, for the election, exactly.
It's going to happen.
Hi, Elon. 23-year-old native Pittsburgher here. Very appreciative of the love you've shown us during this extremely important time in the election. Thank you so much. My question today, Elon, is I know you're familiar with Pittsburgh because of the work we've done over at CMU in the machine learning, machine discovery field.
Yeah.
And my question today is...
Carnegie Mellon's an awesome university, actually. One of my sons is headed to CMU next year.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Cool. Think about what the next generation of Elon Musk is going to be like.
My question today, Elon, is in regards to the rumored government efficiency role that you and Trump have spoke about. How can you use this role to work AI in the right direction for all people, not just people like myself who work in the field, but for everyone?
Yeah,
I think
that's true,
for young
Andy.
voters
I
like
agree.
myself, it's something that concerns us as we look forward. So how, as you get more entrenched in public policy, can you help us there?
Well, I'll answer that, but I would actually like to hear what do you think I should do?
My
thoughts.
thoughts.
I'd like to hear. Like you know,
Absolutely.
I'm basically looking for feedback here. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations! Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, great school.
My thoughts are that
So it's probably the best robotics college in the world. So
it's a shaky road forward, and I agree with you. I think 20% could be bad, and 20% could be phenomenal. And I think for Pittsburgh, I speak for Pittsburgh here. It is a city that is moving away from steel and into technology. And with people like yourself, if we can improve that sector here, I think we can improve life here for everyone. And if we can improve life in Pittsburgh, we can use AI and those technologies to improve life for people everywhere. And I think it's through a lack of regulation, as opposed to what they're doing in the EU right now, attacking people. And I just was curious on your thoughts.
Good question.
Yeah. Well, I think we are going to see a massive massive increase in the number of robots. And you know, recently Tesla unveiled the latest Optimus robot.
Ooh, we're talking about Optimus.
I think that's going to be really cool. I mean, we want to give everyone their own personal C-3PO R2-D2. You know? And like, who wouldn't want that?
Happening.
That'd be awesome. You know, and even better than that. So I think that's really going to be. Yeah, and well, yeah, privacy concerns are significant. Anyway, but one of the things I want to be clear is that I am looking for feedback. So it's not like I'm just going open loop here and doing whatever I want to do. I'm like, I kind of want to know what do the people want, and you know, and what should we do, and then do it. You know, so it's as opposed to me just deciding on my own, like you know, so. Yeah.
Elon, you're clearly a great American pioneer, and we all in Pittsburgh want to welcome you and thank you for coming. Thank you for taking my question.
Yes. Well, it's an honor to be here.
This is really the cradle of pioneers in the history of America. People here from George Washington as a surveyor to Lewis and Clark, who pushed their Pittsburgh-made boat into the Ohio and explored the West, to so many industries being born.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to what Elon said. It doesn't really matter. We have this big, huge reactor in the sky that makes enough energy to last us till the end of time. So I just don't think we need to worry that much about it. I think we should be focused on energy storage and solar more than anything for the vast majority of the Earth. I mean, there's hydro and wind and other parts that can do well too. And we can have reactors and there will be purposes for them for sure. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think we need all of it right now. We can do other stuff. The nuclear reactor thing is overblown right now.
Radio, the movies, the first refinery for oil, the Pittsburgh coal seams, the biggest in the world, the nuclear energy you mentioned, Westinghouse and Tesla creating alternating current out at Rockwell Park. that can provide the same kind of example that you're striving for. So I just want to thank you for being here, and we want to welcome and invite you to invest in our city as we make it the best place to live in the world.
Sounds good. Well, I mean, given that my son will be attending college here next year, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh a lot, so.
Very smart statement.
Woo!
That'll win the crowd. There you go.
Going to be waving this towel quite a lot. Good exercise.
That must be
Loosens you up.
That must be that college color and jersey or something.
Hi, I'm here tonight as a sex trafficking survivor. And I am here to ask you personally, Elon, if you will work with sex trafficking survivors and sex workers about our First Amendment rights and how both X and you can help both vulnerable communities who already have laws against our First Amendment rights that are on the books.
Okay. I mean, I'm generally in favor of any policy that maximizes the happiness of the people. What would you recommend?
First of all, I'd recommend repealing FOSTA SESTA, which was signed on April 11th of 2018 and supported by both parties. What this actually does is it silences certain vulnerable communities, both sex trafficking survivors as well as sex workers, from anywhere in the internet. They shut our websites down. Within weeks, people started to die, both by suicide as well as homicide. Violence is up at an all-time high, and we are currently being silenced by our government with laws such as FOSTA SESTA, which violates our First Amendment rights.
I hope somebody digs into that after this.
As a child sex trafficking survivor and a full-service sex worker of over 25 years, I can tell you that the resources in Pennsylvania for sex trafficking survivors are going to police to arrest full-service sex workers instead of protecting anybody. I was abused at age 9 and 10 right here in Western Pennsylvania.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And over 30 years later, there are still 0 sex trafficking survivor resources, and police continue to arrest full-service sex workers and say that they're helping the children, but they're not helping any children. So would you be open to a conversation to work with sex trafficking survivors and sex workers to make X a platform where we are safe and don't get silenced by our government?
Well, as I've said very clearly, I'm in favor of anything that supports freedom of speech. So any infringement on freedom of speech, I would be against, and people should be able to speak their mind. That's the whole idea of the First Amendment. And I mean, the priority, for law enforcement should be protecting children.
Yes.
First and foremost, because they can't protect themselves. So
I love how just simply he breaks down all these topics.
Second.
Hi, Elon. Thanks so much for being here. As you know, you're an inspiration to us all, but mostly you're really an inspiration to the young children of America who want to be able to dream big and who want to be able to do things. But the federal government, with the Department of Education, puts a firewall behind that. They don't allow our kids to dream big. They don't allow them to have free thoughts. They're censored in the classroom. They can't talk about the open discourse that you encourage on X. So you're doing that on X, but what can we? I'm a mom of 3 kids. How can we make this happen in schools so that the kids can dream big and achieve what you're dreaming?
Great question.
Right. Well, I do think we need significant reform in education. I mean, the Department of Education seems to regard as its primary duty foisting propaganda on our children.
I want my daughter to go to a Montessori school, kind of like what he's created in Texas, well, formerly in California, and moved to Texas.
As opposed to getting them a good education. It's insane.
Yep.
Preach it. I mean, we should be the priority should be teach kids skills that they will find useful later in life, and leave any sort of social propaganda out of the classroom. So
100% agree. The Department of Education has been growing outrageously, and it's all administrative,
I got a foreign policy type question for you. So in Israel, they have free healthcare, they have free college. We don't have it in this country yet. Every year we send them $3.8 billion. Last year, in addition to the $3.8 billion, we sent them another $14.3 billion. So why should we as
This will be
taxpayers
an
keep
interesting
funding
answer.
that lifestyle in Israel? And second question real quick. We also have our politicians bought and paid for by AIPAC because AIPAC sends back the money we send them into the tune of $100 million. How can you fix that for us?
Well, I think we need to take a look at all federal expenditures and say, all federal expenditures and say, is this really benefiting the American people or is it not? And if it is, well, are we spending it wisely? Well, usually the answer is no. So then we should spend less money and spend it efficiently. But there's got to be a clear benefit to the American people or we shouldn't be spending money. So.
Elon, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. I wasn't an X-user. After you bought it, I became an X-user.
Thank you. Please encourage everyone you know to,
Premium. I'm a premium X-user.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank everyone who's a sort of a paid subscriber on X.
Heck yeah.
It's really important because
Get X, guys.
Otherwise we're totally beholden to the advertisers. So when you subscribe, you're helping with freedom of speech. So thank you for subscribing. Yeah.
And as I became an X-user, I did bought a Tesla, which I love.
Great.
And just recently, I ordered Starlink because of what you did for all the hurricane victims.
Great.
Elon, my son and I are huge fans, so my son is in the line over there. He literally, every single word you speak, he takes to heart. He got married at age 17.
Wow.
And he has 2 children, and his goal is to have more children than you, Elon.
That is a great goal.
It's a high bar.
Honestly, like the birth rate issue is a massive problem.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is great.
That's awesome.
We need people.
Yes.
It's like if you don't make new humans, there's no humanity. It's like they don't come from nowhere. Yeah, you got to make them, and it's really hard to make kids.
Yes.
It takes a long time.
That's why we shouldn't be aborting them, in my opinion. We should be helping mothers with decisions for what happens afterwards, but we should be limiting abortion to times where their lives are at risk or some major technical hurdle, right? Like, in my opinion.
To grow up, and there's a lot of diapers involved.
Awesome.
But kids are the most wonderful thing that you'll ever have in your life, and it's.
Yeah.
I would say start early. So I'm glad to hear your son's doing that.
So we will keep supporting Elon. The quote that comes to me thinking of you is, the only thing necessary for triumph.
Sorry about that.
Campaign messaging
I hope they fix this
is about
buffering.
fixing current problems, where I think future aspirations for the country often don't get discussed.
You should be able
as
to
much.
pause.
You obviously have some pretty large goals for your companies. So with years of good leadership and common sense policies implemented under a Trump presidency, describe your utopia America and describe the long-term achievements that you believe can be possible. Thank you.
Sure. Well, first of all, I should say that I think America is great. So, and I think we want to make sure that the fundamental elements that have made America great remain in place.
Yeah, not perfect, but great.
And those fundamental elements are freedom and opportunity.
Yep.
So maximizing individual freedom, minimizing government interference, and making sure that you get ahead as a function of your hard work and talent, and that's the only thing. If we have those fundamental things, and we then
less
the
focus on
Constitution stands
race
strong,
and everything else,
America will get greater and greater.
Yeah.
So that's really important. But to your point, like, we have to have a combination. We have to do both things. We have to solve the problems that we face, but we must also have exciting, inspiring goals. Because life can't just be about solving one miserable problem after another. I mean, that's like, it's hard to get fired up about, okay, we've got another problem to solve. There's got to be things that you're excited about in the future, that move your heart. You're like, wow, I can't wait to see that happen, So that's the kind of thing where
I can't imagine what I would think of this world if this man wasn't in it. I don't know where I'd be, man. I don't know what my mental state would be.
Like, where we want optimism about the future, optimism that is grounded on realism. So, I think, grand projects, revolutionizing the transport. Obviously, I've got some ideas, and probably
really
other people
good.
have ideas too.
Yeah.
I think it's possible, although I'm not really involved in medicine outside of Neuralink, I think it's possible for us to have a revolution in medicine.
Yes, genomics. It's coming.
There are actually a huge number of drugs that are stuck in approval at the FDA that can help people. And they're just stuck in bureaucratic molasses.
That's crazy.
And a good friend of mine was telling me a story that fortunately had a happy ending, where his mom was diagnosed with brain cancer, and she, the oncologist said, there's no chance. It's she's got maybe 4 or 5 months to live. But my friend is a very smart, determined person, and he searched, for what are, and he talked to every smart person he knew, and he found someone who said, yeah, actually there's a drug that's in trials that you take this pill and it actually makes the brain cancer go away. Literally, you just take a pill. He's like, what? And I think it's called like Wellirig or something, FYI.
This is where AI will help in the future. Just being able to determine, like, oh, hey, there's a thing for this. Doctors can miss all kinds of subtle nuances on what's going on with every single thing that's occurring, especially when medicine advances. They're just not going to be able to find this stuff as easily as an AI.
This drug called Wellirig that solves brain cancer. Maybe more people should know about this. And I think it's in trials at Harvard or something. And it cured his mom. And
isn't that crazy? A pill.
So
took a pill for cancer. There'll be a lot of that, I think, in the future.
And it could be helping people, but they're not. That's crazy, So simply expediting drug approval and the FDA, I think, will save millions of lives. So.
From Charlotte, Pennsylvania, the home of Pyrex. Pyrex is synonymous to quality. Corning Glass created Pyrex. Pyrex is in almost every kitchen in the world because the people love it. The product they love. And along with Pyrex, Corning created Gorilla Glass that's in almost every phone in this facility today.
Sure.
They built that on quality and excellence over centuries.
Okay.
You have created multiple companies on quality and excellence in just the last few decades. The key to that is you have it, and what is that? Can we bring that key to Washington? And one follow-up is our competition bought Pyrex, and they want to rip away the quality, and when the FTC proves antitrust, will you be our white knight?
Well, I mean, to the degree that I'm influential in government, I will do my best to ensure that actions are taken that maximize the benefit to the American people. So I think probably yes. Look, I don't know how, at the end of the day, how much influence I'll have. But I'll do my best to be as helpful as possible. So.
I love that guy. He means it too.
Hi, Elon. I just want to say thank you, like everybody else has too. With your amazement, involvement, and contributions in technology, do you have any projects or interest in developing kidneys for people like myself who suffer from hereditary diseases and kidney failure to help us get off of dialysis and move into a normal life?
Elon can't fix everything, but he can do a lot of philanthropic in the future.
I do not have any kidney programs myself, but there might be some companies out there that do. And just to get back to the regulation thing, it's if we can have sensible regulation and fast track approvals of new technologies, then I think things like new kidneys and many other ailments can be available to the American public much faster and at a much lower cost. Because actually a lot of people don't realize, like, a lot of the cost of developing these new medications and new cures, new devices is the massive regulatory burden that is placed upon companies. So, you know, I think we ought to
can prevent
expedite
competition.
Approvals, you know, for new drugs, new devices, and new medical technology things. And then as long as companies very clearly describe the benefits and the risks, it should be up to the individual as to whether they want to use it.
Yeah, exactly. We should be able to take on the risk of saving our own lives by trying an experimental drug that could potentially make things worse, but might be able to heal us, right? That's how we advance. That's very first principles. That's the way it should be. We need to deregulate a ton of that. People should be able to take on the risk if they want to. 100%.
Hi.
1,000%.
Hi, Elon. And it's to tag on the question about DOGE and the healthcare expenditure, because I'm a heart surgeon. I'm in the practice for 25 years.
Cool.
So I've seen so many inefficiencies.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Mired in bureaucracy and administrative stuff, and then they
I can't
get
pause
sued,
anymore.
You know, sued to bankruptcy sometimes, and it's just crazy.
That's right. $4.8 trillion we spend, and still very inefficient and highly costly. So my question to you is, Pittsburgh, we have a very well-reputed 3 healthcare systems, UPMC, Allegheny, and WVU systems, to provide the domain knowledge. And we have a Carnegie Mellon for engineering talent. So we needed a third guy like you who can do the impossible things like bringing the astronaut from the International Space Station down, or catching a 250-ton rocket with 2 chopsticks.
Right on.
Or build a 100,000 server farm in 19 days, which normally takes 4 years.
Good
So
job.
I think we
This
need
guy's
a
got it
guy
all.
like you, impossible, to create a healthcare AI. And Pittsburgh will be a great place to do it. So can you able to do a healthcare AI?
They're really trying to
here?
sell Pittsburgh. I love that, dude.
I think AI is going to be incredible for medicine. Actually, as it is for Grok right now, you can actually upload a PET scan and ask Grok to analyze the PET scan for you, and then you can compare that to what a doctor tells you and see what the difference is.
We should be able to do that with all forms of medical, especially human.
Like, you can literally upload your image to Grok, and it will analyze your MRI, your PET scan, whatever the case may be, and tell you what it thinks the probable issue is. And that's with Grok 2, and Grok 3 will be out in a few months, and it'll be 10 times better. So I think it could be really helpful to medical professionals and to individuals.
God, there's so many good
for us to have an
highlights in
amazing,
here.
exciting future, but we just have to work hard to make that happen. And you know, to circle back, I think essential to making that happen is electing President Trump.
Yes. 1.2 million views.
Let's do that again.
Live views. That's what we're seeing right now.
So,
Just on X. That's not even YouTube. What is YouTube? Let me see if I can find it.
I mean, you know, it's like my friggin' back still hurts. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, here's 2024, and I still have back pain. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience have back pain. You know, it's just solving back pain, I think, would be a massive increase in people's
Dude, my back
happiness.
hurts all the time. Thank you, please.
Yes. So.
Well, God bless you, Elon. God bless you for what you are doing for our country. And you have articulated, yes, how you love children, and children cannot protect themselves.
Of course.
So we must protect them.
Yes.
Well, there are a couple of documentaries, Truth, that are out there about what's happened to over 300,000 children who have crossed the borders, the open borders, and they have been sex trafficked. And nobody and that's probably a very low number, and it's happening in every state in this country, and especially, like you said, the swing states. I know that it's happening in communities near me. So these documentaries cost a lot to make, so there is a charge to watch them, $10 minimal, but still expensive for some. Is there anything that you can do to make these documentaries more widespread and available?
Well, that's good. That's a good point. Well, I guess like I do have a foundation, and maybe the foundation could pay to have them, available for free or something like that.
What a stud! Literally just solved her problem.
And what is treason, or
Okay.
just two of them. So
All right.
if you could look into that, that would be amazing for those children and their families.
All right, I'll look into it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Look at that, dude. Like, who else does this? Yeah, you know what? I'll figure it out. And when he does stuff like this, he does.
Hi, I love my Tesla.
Thank you.
And I admire your ability to define what your vision is and to work backwards and engineer solutions to successfully achieve solutions to those. And thank you for applying those to our Constitution and to help restore our representative republic.
You're most welcome.
My concern is the puppet masters that
Indeed.
are behind the scenes, and they, I call them global cabal dictatorship because they're connected and they have no intention of giving up that power.
Yeah.
They dogged Trump in his first term, and I anticipate them doing the same in the next. When he's elected, how can you help Trump remove their power and damper their influence this time around?
Awesome. She's awesome. It's a tough question.
Well, yeah. No, I do want to be clear that, like, in my opinion, we should not do the bad things that they are doing, you know? So,
that's true.
If you look at what the Dem machine has done, they've tried to imprison President Trump. They've engaged in unbelievable lawfare just to stop people from voting, which is obviously anti-democratic. But I think the right thing to do is not to do what they've done, but rather to reinforce the strength of the legal system and for there to be some kind of punishment for engaging in lawfare.
Yeah, totally.
So
make them accountable for what they've done.
One should not respond to
that's
corruption of the system with corruption,
Yes,
but
exactly.
with removal of corruption.
Agreed. Well said.
That's right, thank you.
God, he's so brilliant.
Hello, Elon. My name's Harrison Burkhardt. I've lived in here for about a year and a half in Pittsburgh. First of all, I just want to say thank you. You've been I've looked up to you since I was 8 years old, and I'm 19 now, so that's obviously a significant amount of time. And,
well, thanks.
And I don't know, with everything you've done, you were against lockdowns, you've endorsed Donald Trump, you're trying to protect the American Constitution. You've proven to me that I chose the right childhood hero, and I just want to say thank you for that.
Well,
and
it's kind of you to say. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So my question for you, you've talked a lot about how you want to minimize government intervention and all that. And I was just wondering specific things. I know, for example, John F. Kennedy wanted to blow the CIA up into 1 million pieces. Is there...
Yeah, maybe he should have not said that. He
Is there anything specific that you want to destroy like that?
You don't want to, definitely don't do open car parades after saying something like that.
Yeah, right.
No, I think
it's true.
We obviously want to not have corruption in government, and in general, we want to have smaller government. Because the larger government gets, the less individual freedom you have. And I think that's really the core, like as I said, the core things people have said for many years from the founding of the country was that's freedom and opportunity, and we want to and your freedoms have just been eroded year after year with more and more government laws and regulations and regulatory authorities. When I looked it up, there's like 428 federal agencies. That's like almost
428?
Yes, indeed, unconstitutional. So, like, what the hell
428?
do you need 428 agencies for? Like, why do you even need 100?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
That's insane. That's insane.
So, you know, they're currently making new agencies at a rate of 2 per year.
What?
And every one of them is chipping away at your freedom. So it's essential for us to unwind that process and restore your personal freedom. And with that will come great prosperity and personal happiness, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
428, is that what he said? Oh my God, there's Donald Trump at McDonald's.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Well, you talk about minimizing government. Would you want to make tax cuts too? For example, the American Revolution was started over a 2% tax on imports.
Yeah.
How low would you want to go as far as cutting taxes?
Yeah, it's pretty wild that a tiny tax on tea started the revolution.
That's just a crazy number.
Living daylights tax out of us, and nobody does not know revolution. I mean, you get taxed on what you earn, you get taxed on what you buy, and you get taxed on what you own. And it's like, okay, this.
And you get taxed when you die.
This is, taxes.
Just all the time, all throughout.
And then what does it get spent on? A bunch of the stuff it gets spent on you don't even agree with. So, that's why we need to reduce the size of government and just spend less money and,
To be clear, when he talks about reducing the size of government, he also said in another interview that he would give them like 2 years' pay and say, go do something else, go find a job, go figure it out. He wouldn't just end their jobs. He would make it to where they just go away over time in massive amounts. It's only another 2 years of paying them, and then all of a sudden, boom, tons of government pay off the payroll, like millions of people.
Let the people keep a lot more of their hard-earned money.
Tens of millions.
Yeah, so.
Hi, Elon. My name is Denise, and I run Pennsylvania Women for Trump. We're Pennsylvania's largest grassroots group. And
is that there's good and bad. It's not all bad, obviously. There are many life-saving drugs that are developed by the big pharma companies and small pharma companies.
Just literally can't pause at all.
But there are also mistakes that they make. And so we just need to make sure that the system is actually helping the pharma companies bring life-saving cures to market faster, but also that there should be some punishment if they do bad things, just like for any company.
Yeah.
And I think it's those are just basic common sense rules. So.
My name is Madison. I'm 22 years old, and I just started my first position in industrial controlled cybersecurity. So like everyone else, I want to say thank you for the inspiration you've been in technology. It's been nice to look at you and what you're doing and see kind of the issues and some of the possibilities in that realm. But for political questions, because I'm assuming that's more appropriate for the venue.
And to be clear, like the kind of questions that are the best questions to ask are what do you think people out there would like to know the answer to, or if there's a comment or a question that you think maybe millions of people would like to know, that's what we're optimizing for here.
You better have that.
Okay, so on that note, I kind of want to go back to the robotics and AI technology developments. I think that regulating the technology itself is a vain effort, and you've obviously worked in the development a lot. Can you speak to kind of what you've seen about human-centric development? Because I think that might be the only thing that's going to protect us from things getting out of hand.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but
yeah.
I do think that any given technology that's developed, the goal of it should be to help humanity and to bring joy to people and help people. So that's, and I do, to be clear, I do think there is a role for regulators. Just like there is a role for referees in a sports game. like every sports game has referees. You know, tonight's Steelers game got referees, and it's a better game for having referees. But you don't want to have so many refs on the field. You know that
more
the
referees than people
even
playing
get
the
through
game.
them. You know, it's like I can't catch the ball because I have this like 20 referees in my way. That's the situation we have in industry today. Is far too many refs on the field. Sometimes more refs than players. You know, and if you saw that in a sports game, you're like, this is crazy. But I'm not. I want to be clear. Like, I'm not saying no regulation. I'm just saying sensible regulation. You want the right number of referees in the field, but not any more than that. So, yeah.
He just breaks things down so simply. It's like effortless.
Hi, Elon. Thank you for everything you've done recently to help save our country from ruin. It's really appreciated.
You're most welcome.
There's a rumor.
Thank you for doing things to help the country too.
Yeah, that's right. There's a rumor floating around that you have interest in investing in our city, which I hope is true. And if so, let me know where I can submit my resume.
Well, I'm a big fan of Pennsylvania, and I think there's a good chance that one of my companies does something in the future in Pennsylvania.
Go
Love that. Love that. I could totally see. Is there large lithium mines in
Who we vote for in
Pennsylvania?
our office will ultimately shape the future of our country. If that statement is true, the most important members of our society that we can think about when voting in elections would be our children and our grandchildren. Since they are not eligible to vote, and we have others voting for selfish reasons, would you be in?
That's totally true.
What would be your thoughts on reshaping voter eligibility? Some sort of criteria or guidelines that must be met in order to vote.
You mean like changing?
Being an active tax voter.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, frankly, I'd be happy if it was just that citizens voted.
Just citizens.
I'd call that a win. You know,
if just citizens voted.
If we could just make sure that only legal citizens can vote, which is how it's supposed to be, I'd say that'd be quite a victory compared to where we are right now. Just and I think having more transparency on elections, maximum transparency on elections, and as I've said before, I think we should
National
not
holiday.
allow voting machines of any kind.
Nope, paper ballots.
So,
national holiday. Everybody gets the day off to vote.
You know, I've been programming computers since I was 9 years old, and I know how easy it is to get a line of software wrong or hack a computer, and so I think the last thing we want to do is have electronic voting machines. We want paper ballots in person with ID.
Yes. Yes. Very simple.
And actually, it's sort of in terms of a real AI danger that hopefully is not there this year, but will certainly be a danger in the future, is that advanced AI will be super good at hacking computers.
Yeah,
and
he's
so
right.
If you have voting machines that are connected to the internet, and you've got super advanced AI that can potentially affect those machines, I think that's very dangerous. So we actually, so what I'm saying is that I'm normally someone who favors technology. I'm super, 21st century technology boy right here, and I'm saying no machines for voting.
Yeah, right? If you want election integrity and you don't want powers that you cannot see manage the election for you.
My name's Andy. I'm a technologist. I consider myself
like
you in that way. Sadly, I missed you at the Robotaxi event last week. I actually got a ticket, couldn't make it, looked amazing, super excited for the future. Thank you for being here. On to my question. I was disappointed by the current administration's lack of inclusion of you and Tesla at the EV Summit.
Yeah.
Like all of us
Tesla is a truly great American company that should be cherished for its technology that's advanced humankind and provided a large number of American jobs. My question is, how can the Trump administration kindle the growth of the automotive, EV, and autonomous tech industries?
Well, honestly, I go back to minimizing government intervention. In general, I'm very much in favor of small government, and that there shouldn't be incentives, tax breaks, or for anything at all. That would be no incentives, tax for anything at all. Whether it's that includes oil and gas,
free
electric
market
cars,
manage it.
No, nothing. No incentives for nothing.
Less taxes that way.
So, so the tax code is like, I mean, you could fill this room with the tax code. It's like so-called. I think only an AI could even understand the tax code. Maybe. I think we want to have a tax code you can actually read, both as a human. Instead of having it might be upwards of 1 million different tax breaks or tax loopholes or whatever.
A million.
It's insane.
I wonder how many there really are.
Like I said, I think we want minimal government action and maximum freedom for the people, and that is what leads to the highest level of prosperity.
Bitcoin and Ethereum are getting ready to break out, at least on the edge of it.
Given how punitive the SEC has been towards crypto under this administration, do you envision the XRP ledger being incorporated into the financial institutions in the future?
God, I hope not.
Well, I certainly cannot speak to any specific crypto, but I do think that the sort of cryptocurrency is an interesting and probably valuable bulwark against a centralized control.
Yes. Bitcoin.
So, this is definitely not an endorsement or lack of endorsement for XRP. But I do think crypto, by its very nature, it helps with individual freedom.
Yep. And he's saying Bitcoin without saying Bitcoin.
So, Mr. Musk, thank you very much for coming. Also, as a Pittsburgh fan, I hope to see you at tonight's game. That'd be pretty incredible.
I actually would love to be there. I got to get back and see my kids. Speaking of kids.
Okay.
So
my question, as well as I'm sure many millions of Americans, I'm a young entrepreneur and voter. We are spending so much money in a lot of useless ways, I feel, in the government spending. So a lot of that also is very irritating as a voter, is the money that we are spending overseas and not helping our own country, like in North Carolina and down south right now. I want to know, is it possible when you get in here into the government of efficiency, how are you going to help us with spending money efficiently and using our tax money well?
Yeah, well, I think the step number one is spend a lot less of it.
Yes. Step one.
So
clean up government.
It's like the first order of business is to say any given expenditure. We should. I think we want to zero budget the thing. Say let's start from scratch.
Tell us why you need the money.
Because it doesn't make sense to reduce a foolish expenditure by 10% if it should be zero. And I bet there's.
Dude, he's going to tear up the government. Can you guys imagine?
I mean, look at the sort of $42 billion that's been allocated for rural broadband, and at SpaceX won like a quarter of it, and then they rescinded that contract for political reasons, and in fact, it would have meant a bunch of those terminals would have been in the affected hurricane areas, so that could have cost lives.
Wow.
So that kind of political lawfare is
not messed around.
And you know how many people have been connected by that 42 billion?
Zero.
Literally zero. So I would say that program should be zero.
Yes, 42
because value
billion.
for money is zero.
He's going to win this election for Trump.
I'm 20 years old, and instead of going to college, I decided to start my own business. Your innovativeness inspires me. What is a piece of advice you would have for someone like me or me
Make a good business.
Be as innovative as you are in business?
First principles.
I didn't really set out to be innovative. I think you want to set out with saying like, what's a useful product or service that you think people would like, and then try to make that thing real. And I think as long as you're, doing an honest day's work and, providing useful products and services to people, I think you should be very proud of that. I have a huge respect for anyone who puts in an honest day's work, that contributing to society. So that's what matters.
Agreed, Andy. God.
Good afternoon, Elon. As somebody who is directly involved in the pioneering of space travel, what is your perspective on the suppression of advanced technologies under UAP crash retrieval programs and other black projects such as Immaculate Constellation that have the potential to fundamentally change human society?
I don't know anything about that.
I'm not familiar with those programs, but I mean, I certainly think if there are technologies that can be helpful, the government's aware of it. We should obviously provide that technology to
We'll be back.
So
we'll be back.
I should say that people often ask
because
me,
of this guy.
Do I believe in aliens?
He is an alien.
I said, well, I was one, according to Homeland Security, until I got my, it literally said alien registration card. I'm like, cool. But I mean, thus far, I'm not aware of any evidence for aliens on Earth. I'm not saying they're not here, but I have not seen any evidence for aliens.
Outside of themselves.
For our Starlink constellation, we have never had to maneuver around an alien spacecraft even once. And we've got 6,000 satellites up there. So
7.
I mean, they're very subtle.
I don't even think he knows he's got 7.
And
here. What's the number?
But I think if there's if there's interesting stuff that the government's aware of that American people would find interesting or useful, we should obviously make that known. We should publish it. So thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Elon. My name is Jordan Scott Gilbert, and I'm a Broadway producer.
I love that Elon said there's 6,000 Starlink satellites in space. As of October 20th, we passed 7,000. So he's just off by 1,000 on his own constellation grid for internet for the planet.
Movie director,
wow.
Who creates conservative content and Christian content for stage and film. As you know, a lot of conservatives and Christians have been blacklisted from Hollywood and Broadway. So my question to you is, would you consider creating an entertainment company to also save art as well as Western civilization? And what role do you think art plays in protecting freedom of speech and our constitutional freedoms?
Yeah, I think
a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're making art that is on the right. I mean, it's because I think you have to say, like, where do kids and adults, how do they get informed of what's going on? What moral underpinnings are conveyed in the art that is produced?
Yep.
And there should be more
can influence them.
People that are making interesting art, whether it's plays, movies, books, that are on the right, because it's overwhelmingly on the left. So I'm glad you're doing this, and I hope more people do it.
Well said. 1.8 million people watching.
I'd appreciate
now.
just art that's in the center, frankly. That'd be quite nice. It's like I enjoy playing video. People ask me like what my hobbies are. It's like, well, I'm a technology nerd, so I like playing video games. And it's like it's really annoying when the video game gets interrupted by some DEI woke bullshit, and I'm like, Jesus, I was playing a video game here.
Right.
Can you just leave the video games alone?
Even the loonies
you don't
do.
want to do things that damage art.
Very good point. Even the kind of people that are out there are getting to ask their questions. He's not censoring anybody, and he's answering them to the best of his ability.
It breaks you out of the story. So.
Hi, Elon.
Good points on DEI.
My name is Nolan Duncan, and it's my goal to one day make our region proud by being just as successful and driven as you. One thing we do share, though, is the love and pride of our country.
Oh, we're going to zoom ahead. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
Damn it. That's a good one,
Jobs are all a dime a dozen anymore. I'll find a new one if I have to.
Yeah. I think you'll be fine.
I began this journey a year ago with the intent to become self-sufficient and take control of my destiny as an entrepreneur. However, it is utterly apparent that our government, rather the incompetents who run it, are self-sabotaging our future generations. And at this point, it is imperative that we protect our republic with safer and transparent elections. This is rather... Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, very much agree.
Oh, that's good. This is a rather novel concept to many in this room. But for the future, and since you are actively involved in cryptocurrency...
I'm not actively involved in crypto, to be clear.
No? Okay.
So, no, I mean, I'm actually not actively involved in crypto.
He just talks about Doge every once in a while.
Dogecoin all
you know, I make Dogecoin jokes and stuff because I kind of like Dogecoin because it's got the best sense of humor and it has dogs and memes and I love all those things.
There you go. So anyway, what are your thoughts on implementing the blockchain for future elections? And also, as a content creator, X
good
has
question.
so much potential. Would you consider making X a dominant force against video and streaming platforms such as YouTube and Twitch to compete against these ridiculous policies that empower content creators to their
That's the goal.
fullest?
Got to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely want to have an X. Well, it does currently enable, up to 4-hour videos, and we'll
got to
soon be
get better
offering,
though. The platform has to be
4K
better.
resolution, and we're continuing to improve our streaming capability for gamers that want to stream or anyone that wants to stream content. We've made a lot of progress, and hopefully we can offer an alternative. The X app is now available on big TVs, so you can actually watch stuff on TVs. And yeah, I think it's just generally good to have competition. I mean, competition is what competition keeps companies honest.
It can still get better.
Yeah, thank you.
First off, I wanted to thank you for saving democracy and all your contributions to civilization.
Thank you.
My question is, I'm 24 years old. What key advice would you give to the younger generation wanting to start a family?
My advice regarding starting a family is start immediately. Yeah. I think people worry too much about having kids, and sometimes it's difficult to make ends meet and whatnot. But honestly, there's really no time like the present. Just have kids, you won't be sorry. It'll work.
And if we're not taxing them to shit, maybe they can actually afford them.
Yeah.
Hi, Elon. Thanks for being here today. With your Department of Efficiency, how far back do you think we're going to have to go in order to right the wrongs that are in this country?
You don't have to go back. Go forward.
I don't know. I mean, there's certainly a lot of work for a Department of Government Efficiency. There will be immense opposition, obviously, to making government more efficient from entrenched interests that currently benefit from sucking away vast amounts of taxpayer money. They will not like the fact that they're not getting it anymore. They will fight tooth and nail. So, but it's got to be done. And like I said, we're going to aim to reduce government spending, get government out of people's lives as much as possible, and restore freedom and liberty.
Awesome. He's just marathon, man. 1.9 million.
My name is Allie Alfman, and I'm Secretary of the Carnegie Mellon College Republicans.
Good for you.
Before I ask my quick question, I would love to welcome your son to join our club next year.
Sounds good.
Join some Musk.
Second, I just wanted to ask you, what was the driving problem that got you into politics, and what was that breaking point that made you really want to get into politics?
Yeah, well, as I said, I really would prefer not to be in politics at all. The reason that I have stepped into the political arena this time is because I think the stakes are extremely fundamental. I think democracy is on the line. I think the Constitution's on the line. I fear that if Trump does not win, we're going to be, we're going to have a single-party state. It's going to be like California, but actually worse than California, because the one thing that keeps California from going even further than they do go is that people can move out of California and still be in America. But if you've got no place to move, then it's going to be much worse in California. And that's the danger that we face. Sort of an oppressive, totalitarian state that has extreme restrictions on freedom of speech, that continues extreme overregulation, that just basically makes government even bigger than it is today, and takes away the liberty of the people. So that's something I wanted to do, but I felt it was critical to do it, or America's not going to be America.
And he means it. It's true.
Hi, Elon. Over 100 years ago, Nikola Tesla dreamed of delivering free and unlimited energy, not just to the people of the United States, but to the people of the world. And he was up against a dirty machine, same machine that we're fighting.
A lot of these questions are really good. I mean, some are off, but some are great.
Fighting today, same machine that's been suppressing, suiciding inventors for decades, as evidenced by Secrecy Invention Act of 1951. We need somebody that has the wallet to not care what people think and not be bullied around while having the guts to give the finger to the adversaries. And whether it's through government efficiency or private sector, if you're taking suggestions, I would encourage you to pursue that avenue to give the people of the earth something clean, renewable, efficient, and imagine what kind of rockets you could build with ethereal energy. So if you would like to discuss it more, I'm getting sushi afterwards if you want to join me, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think we want to get government out of people's lives and give people their liberty and freedom back, and allow them to keep more of their hard-earned money. And I think that's what leads to prosperity and a happier people. So that's what we're going to aim for. So I'll take a couple more questions and call it a day.
Hi, Elon. I'm Edwin. I believe that you are the Benjamin Franklin of our times, and thank you for unapologetically being you.
Yes.
My question is, on several occasions in your life, you have bet the farm on highly ambitious and almost improbable goals, in spite of well-intentioned advices from friends, family, and even your idols like Neil Armstrong saying, "Don't do it, Elon."
Yeah.
Most people would break under that kind of pressure. So how did you get them, or how do you get the mental fortitude to listen to all of that advice, process it, realize you're probably going to fail, and go ahead and do it in spite of the fear?
Yeah, I mean, when starting SpaceX and Tesla, people said, you're probably going to fail, and I agreed with them. I said, yeah, I think the probability of success is less than 10%. But I felt if we didn't try to do something radical in space and with electric cars, then nothing was happening. Like the existing big companies were not innovating. Like the cost of access to space was actually increasing every year in the U.S., not decreasing. And there was no, it was basically, we're doing less and less every year in space exploration, not more. And so I was like, well, even if it's like a 1% chance of SpaceX succeeding, that's still better than nothing. So, I was like, the people tell me this joke so many times, like, what's the best way to make a small fortune in the space industry is to start with a large one. And I was like, so then when people would tell me that joke, I would say, well, I was trying to figure out how to make a large fortune into a small one. And like, how do you know? Yeah, exactly. So, so it wasn't with the expectation of success that we started SpaceX and Tesla. It was with the expectation of failure. But we felt it was important enough, nonetheless, to give it our best shot. And we just barely made it. You know, SpaceX, the first 3 flights didn't succeed. The 4th one did. And if that 4th one had failed, I was out of money and the company would not exist. So. You know, it was the same thing for Tesla. You know, same thing for Tesla. Yeah, 2008 was a really tough year because that's when we had the 3rd rocket failure, and the auto industry was busy going bankrupt. You know, GM and Chrysler went bankrupt in early 2009, and they're busy going bankrupt in late 2008. And you know, in the case of Tesla, we closed the financing round of Tesla, and I gave all the money that I had left, and we closed that financing round in the last hour of the last day that it was possible. It was around 5 p.m. Christmas Eve 2008, and if that round had not closed in that call, Tesla would have bounced payroll 2 days after Christmas. So.
Good afternoon, Elon. I thank you for saving my son's life at the age of 25 and his little...
Elon Musk has 20,000 people viewing him on CBS 21 News, some small-ass channel. And Barack Obama can't get more than 68,000 on Kamala's YouTube channel.
Red Y, Tesla, going 77 miles an hour on the turnpike. A deer jumped. The cabin knew there was an impact. It lifted the front hood. So the deer was not in my son's lap. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
2.1 million
views.
Top priority
right
for
now.
Tesla design and engineering is actually safety.
And that's why he bought your S, and now he has your Cybertruck, and he is 25, and you are his inspiration, and he was to be here, but he didn't get the ticket, Mom did. So my question is,
poor kid.
As an educator for over 20 years,
what a good mom.
And for the rights to bear arms, why in the public schools do we not have a team of concealed to carry professional
Bitcoin's breaking out, 69,000.
Staff, faculty
coming
on
real
all
soon.
Colleges, public schools
I'm going to put it in the bottom.
that are completely under confidentiality and highly trained to protect our schools. And if we cannot protect our children, then can you design equipment that will allow our schools and our campuses to be freely safe of any man or woman who thinks that they are going to take us down?
Yes. Hell yeah, lady.
Sure. Well, you know, I don't actually have an answer for everything. So I'm doing my best here to just, answer questions as best I can, and, hopefully get most of them right and probably some wrong, but, and then correct the ones that are wrong. But yeah, I do think there are steps we can take to improve safety on campus and on schools. And I think if there are highly trusted teachers who are willing to, we need to make sure, obviously, they're highly trusted and very, very capable, who are willing to have firearms to protect the kids. I think we should probably let them do it.
Agreed.
All right, so I'll just do this question and one more, and then we'll call it a day.
Hi. I'm one of the Pennsylvania conservatives Pennsylvania Democratic conservatives in the room. My father and brother have been in the House of Representatives for 24 and 22 years. Pro-life, pro-gun, pro-military, pro-First Amendment, pro-Second Amendment. My problem is my vote didn't get counted. I voted for Trump in 2016. I voted for him in 2020. I received this letter in the mail from Harrisburg saying that my vote did not get counted. And what concerns me...
Actually, I'd like to understand more about that. So how did that work?
I don't know.
Okay.
I work the polls. I've always worked the polls. I go for conservative Democrats. I go on a federal level for the Republicans. And like I said, I've always gone to the polls.
This is great. They've got an example
to find out
where
that my vote has not been counted when I voted
This
for
is
Trump
great.
in both
This is the kind of stuff we
concerns
need.
me because my vote for my own brother didn't get counted as well. So I think that's happening to a lot of us.
There's no explanation?
There's no explanation. I mean, if I didn't get this letter, I would
this
not
to
have
be-
known that my vote
get this
wasn't
lady's
counted.
name.
So I think that's happened
Get
to
her
a
name
lot of
right
us
now.
because
Well,
we are standing with
That seems really
Trump.
crazy.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it seems like
You could have it.
if they say it's not counted, they got to give a reason for that.
There's no reason. No one seems to even, when I call, they're like, we don't know. We don't know anything. I just work here. I'm like, oh.
Well, I think we definitely want to understand how widespread this is.
Yes.
And definitely use the X platform to publicize anything that you think is an issue.
Agreed.
If we just we want to investigate anything that is messed up, and that sounds pretty messed up. At a minimum, they should tell you why your vote wasn't counted. I mean, was there something that you didn't fill out, or what?
Oh no, I went to the polls and I signed. I've done it for 40 years now. So yeah, it's strange, but I think I'm one of probably hundreds of thousands that has been silenced.
Well, I think it would be good to just count up like how many people are in your position. And for sure, that does seem messed up. Like the state should be required to tell you exactly why it wasn't counted, and so that you at least understand if there was an error in the form, there was something, because it wasn't just saying it wasn't counted with no explanation is totally unacceptable.
Yep. Love this guy.
How you doing, Elon?
Good, how's it going?
My name's Logic. I'm a creative professional out of Pittsburgh, and I represent my people, my community, and some of the questions that we may have, and some of the insight that I have from me personally, being a single father here in this city, also making it through the changing circumstances of the economy as it becomes worse than I've ever known it to be. And the seriousness of this election. Me, I'm not one that really believes in voting myself, but I feel like I do not want to leave anything to happenstance in this election. And I know that we need to get somebody who's really going to be intelligent with their leadership. So, there's a lot of things I would like to talk about, but I do have many ideas. I like what you're doing right now, and I commend you on putting yourself out here, to make these changes and to take these risks that matter. My name is Logic, LHAGIC.com. You can find out more about me and what I do, and that's all I want to say.
All right, well, thank you. Please do everything you can to convince people to vote and register to vote. All right, I'll do 2 more questions, and then
keeps on adding 2.
I got to get back to see my kids. Honestly, that's where I'm going right after this. So
I'll make it really fast.
I want to get to see them before bedtime as well.
Thank you so much. This opportunity is way cool. Thank you very much. Emotional conversations often polarize into win-lose dynamics. And there's like an individual focus or thinking, where systems thinking, especially when it comes to the relationship system, suggests that there's unseen forces, possibly evolutionary, shaping how natural living systems like humanity manage tension. How might AI help navigate these charged conversations, especially if it's built with the same blind spots we all have?
That's an interesting
honestly,
question.
I'm not sure. I think AI, it'll be vastly smarter than humans, and I think it probably will help. Like I said, it's 80% likely to be helpful, maybe 90. I can certainly see it being very helpful with medicine and helping people understand, get healthy and whatnot. But it's not a panacea. It is a double-edged sword. I'm not sure I have a great answer to that, except we just need to pay close attention to AI and ring the alarm bell if we see that it's going in a bad direction. Thank you. Last question.
Thank you, Elon. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for your courage and for everything you've done for America. My question is pertaining to the voting machines this election. There are numerous features. This is an exhaustive, a switch feature, a multiplication feature. Been waiting to ask you this since 2020. Are you confident that this is a battle that can be won? Are there plans in place? Are there protections in place?
Totally,
Have
Martin.
you talked to President Trump about this with your technological proficiency and higher level of knowledge?
I think the best way to address this, in any potential fraud, I don't know what's real and what's not real, But I've made
I
my
agree,
position
Mark.
clear that we should not have machines involved. We should have paper ballots in person with ID. That's the sure thing. And especially as we get to an AI future, because like I said, the AI could hack the voting machines, and then we wouldn't even know what's going on. We do not want voting machines connected to the internet or electronic in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
This isn't
can't
hard to
emphasize that
understand.
enough. Now, with respect to this election, I think any sort of voting concerns that people have should be posted on the X platform and on every platform, and be very loud about it if you have any concerns, so that they can, like the brighter the light we shine on any voting issues, the less likely there is to be cheating. Then the other thing is to win by such a margin that even if there is cheating, the margin is so great that you beat the cheat. So
exactly.
And with that, thank you.
All right, that's awesome. Good job,
Thank you,
Elon.
everyone. It's been an honor speaking to you, and I enjoyed the questions. And let's just go ultra hardcore. Remember, only have until tomorrow night to get people registered. So please think you've got one goal: get people registered by midnight tomorrow. Thank you.
I just want to say, if you think that the guy, and here, let me just play it out, I'll mute it. If you think that the guy who can build out a data cluster in 19 days that Jensen Huang said takes normally 4 years can't get this election done, if there's anybody that can save us right now, it is Elon Musk. And he's putting his money where his mouth is. Again, $1 million reward each night for somebody that simply fills out, the voter registration and ballot part for the initiative that they're trying to push and in these swing states. And then at the same time, I think they're paying $43 a head for people that are registering to vote. So he's just doing an awesome job trying to protect democracy. And I agree. I think this is like our last chance. This is potentially, maybe it isn't our last chance. It's probably our last chance to ensure that we remain a free nation that doesn't have the government controlling it, because the party that wants to get in keeps making comments about how the First Amendment shouldn't be a thing anymore because it's holding them back. So I just got to say, guys, this was beautiful. It was better than anything I had planned. I wanted to show some other videos and things too, but honestly, after that marathon, it's been 2 hours. I think I'm going to call it. I do just want to say, though, again, look at this. Look at this chart right here that shows how racism and sexism and just all these different isms and phobias and things have all really been put into the landscape astronomically in the last 10 years, 15 years. We've seen just a massive ramp in these terms that didn't have to be here before. And it's not just the New York Times and Washington Post, it's a whole bunch more. So we're being bombarded with the want to hate each other every day across mainstream media. X and Elon Musk might save us from having that be the only future that our children know, is whatever those people tell them. Because last election, we didn't have X. We had Twitter. And we know that Twitter, Facebook, and every other social media platform were being highly censored by the government. And it was from the left and from the Democratic Party, the same party that injects this hate towards each other, whether it's white supremacy or racism or xenophobia or homophobia or any of these things. They're constantly trying to get us to hate each other and make themselves the voice of truth. And like Bill Maher said in the video we watched earlier, how well were they the voice of truth during COVID? There was so much that was wrong about the way that was handled. And it was because the left was censoring us, the feds were censoring us, and they were censoring, and they were paying Twitter to censor content, and they were paying Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg had to apologize because of the censorship that was occurring that later on they found out wasn't factual. And even after that, I can play you videos right now where Meta employees are admitting that they censor content all the time right now. And Farzad was complaining from the Tesla community that he was being censored with video content where he was just trying to play a small portion of a video. I don't know with me, I don't have any monetization on these videos, but maybe this one will be censored too because it just has Elon talking. And so who knows if that ends up getting censored on YouTube. At least I know it won't be on X, which is why I'm trying to diversify away. And so I appreciate all of the support from everybody that's helped, support the Discord, support my work on X, because without it, at any point, YouTube could just snuff me out, just like they did with Farzad when he was trying to do, a small portion of a video that they didn't like. So again, the censorship from YouTube is ridiculous. The censorship from Facebook that's potentially going on right now, per the people that senior engineers and people that work for Meta right now, indicating that yes, they actively censor content that is negative about Kamala Harris. Again, this is horrible. We shouldn't have this kind of stuff in social media. These algorithms should be open sourced, and we should know that there's no bias in them, and they should be more like X. And if they can't be that, then they can't have an audience. If you're censoring people that with things that are perfectly free and that aren't illegal in any way, as long as you're not doing things that are illegal, basic rules that already exist right now that are in play, then you should have a voice and have the freedom to be able to put that voice out into the world. Doesn't mean you should have a huge audience. Again, if you're like some Nazi or whatever the hell you are, like that doesn't mean you should have a huge audience, right? Like you can make it to where you don't promote that stuff. You don't promote hate with your algorithm. You can make that, but those people can still be free to say their hate. They just want to have a big community. So again, I think it's about making the algorithms, work towards humanity and still allow freedom of speech. And I think people like Elon Musk are making that happen. And I think when you look at Donald Trump and the people behind him, the Robert F. Kennedys, the Elon Musk, the Viveks, the J.D. Vances, the Tulsi Gabbards, all these people that are, and Robert F. Kennedy, did I say him? All these people that are just amazing and have a beautiful vision for the future. Remember, even if you don't like Donald Trump, you don't like who he is as a person, you don't like the fake tanning stuff, you don't like the combed over hair, whatever you don't like, you could be a never Trumper. I don't care. Vote for the vision that these people are putting forward, which is a better one for humanity, one that's sustainable for our country, one that actually might make us great again. Please vote for that. And in Pennsylvania, you got, 24 hours to complete registration in order to be able to do that? Please to God, do that and support a transformation in our future where our children can be proud of us again. Because I don't want to live in a world where I have to look at my daughter and tell her I didn't do my part. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you very much. Probably signing off now. Vote.